Everyone, Christian here, and I wanted to do a little discussion on palms, wind resistance, their ability to withstand hurricanes and other natural disasters. But mostly we'll talk about hurricanes today because I haven't experienced many other types of natural disasters. So as we drive around, you can see here there's palmettos, Canary Island dates, Phoenix robolini, Queens, so there's some yucca there. And we'll go and we'll see some other plants as well. But really, what determines a palm's capacity to withstand wind? It's not only the wind, but it's the rain too. So, for example, you see a lot of live oaks in Florida, but live oaks actually don't do that well in hurricanes. They tend to withstand the wind, but the rain, the flooding rain, actually gets into their roots, saturates the ground, and uproots them that way. Through the wind eventually is able to topple them. So it becomes really a math equation of how wind resistant their leaves are, how strong their roots are, and their natural genetics, their flexibility of their leaves, that sort of thing. So I'm going to pull into this parking lot that is still being built. It's almost done. It's probably a few weeks away from being fully done, maybe a month or two for this one over here on the right. But see the royals here. I don't know if you guys can see through the glare, but almost every one of these royals has turned some shade of brown. Some are 100% brown. And if these were to be, if Hurricane Dorian was to come through here, and for example, sorry to kind of turn there. Let me just kind of get over here so that we can get less glare. If Hurricane Dorian was to come through here with these palms still wrapped up, they would not have a natural ability to shed their fronds, which is what a lot of crown shafted palms do in hurricanes, and they would continue to be wind resistant and would probably break the crown. So that's something that they didn't take any precaution on. These should have never been even erected this way without untying the fronds. The only time you should tie fronds on a royal is for transport. Once they come off the truck, the rope comes off. There are some palms you should do that for, but royals are not. So palmettos here, you can see these are trimmed up. And it's nice that they are trimmed up for the hurricane. Otherwise they look kind of, they don't look so well. But if we go over here to these other palms that are growing here in the parking lot, I'm kind of just crossing through some, let me see if I can find a little, here we go, let's just go this way. This is a strip mall that I frequent a lot. There's a Cuban restaurant, so of course I'm going to frequent it. And they are opening a lot of new stores, and they're trying to figure out the whole parking dilemma here. So you can see there are some pretty good-looking royals right here. So we kind of get past the dollar store, approaching the Cuban place, and these are in pretty good shape. They're not in they're not the best-looking royals I've ever seen, but they're okay. They would, I would definitely be. Let's see what this card. Okay. So they would definitely, I'd be happy with them in my yard. I mean, I guess some of these are a little bit tapered, but you're not going to get the best looking royals in a strip mall because they're looking to cut costs by, getting some of the cheaper plants. So I'm sure they didn't pay top dollar for these, and it does show. So if we go a little bit further, there's Mojo's Cuban, great place. I eat there probably more than I should. So if you look at where a palm is from and see that it is from a hurricane-prone area such as Madagascar, Australia, the Philippines, southern China. For example, adenidias here are from the Philippines, and basically those archipelagos, and they can withstand quite a bit of wind, and they are usually still standing even in stronger hurricanes. So, for example, Florida, the Caribbean, there's other areas that kind of get slammed by, and one of the best examples is Satakentia from the Ryukyu Islands. There are typhoons that come through there all the time, pretty much every year, and they take quite a beating. I would say Satakentia, Dictyosperma album, which is from Reunion Mascarene Island kind of complex, and palmettos are probably the three most wind-resistant palms in the world. There are others that are probably tied with it, but there are three that come to mind: 2 pinnate palms and 1 palmate palm. Now, generally speaking, palmate palms are going to be more wind resistant because of the nature of their leaflets, because they tend to be in more of an entire leaf and they can hold more wind, more like a sail. They're going to be less hurricane resistant. So, however, there are some situations where they do become pretty resistant to hurricane winds. One is Washingtonia is a pretty good example. They are, because they have very strong root systems, they're used to growing in desert-like conditions. They kind of have to anchor themselves in. So desert-loving palms that grow or are native to the desert are actually pretty good in hurricanes. They're not excellent, but they're better than you would think. So, okay, going the wrong way down. What is going on here? Right. So, not sure what's going on there, but going the wrong way down this road and parking in the handicap perpendicular. So, palms that are not going to do that well are going to be actually a lot of inland tropical palms. For example, liquawalas are terrible in hurricanes because their leaves are like sails, especially the entire leaf varieties. A lot of the fishtail complex, the Caryotiaceae family. So Caryota, Willikia, Arenga, those are all going to do absolutely terribly, whatever it may be, in a hurricane or any wind event. They also have shallow roots, so they tend to just kind of get uprooted, even if their leaves are wind resistant. I have seen in a tropical storm a Joey, Johannes Tasmania altifrons, a beautiful one with about like 7-8 foot leaves. The leaves were kind of handling the wind, but they actually the crown broke because of the bending that was going on. So because the crown sits really low to the ground there, and the leaves are basically a bunch of sails hanging around. They didn't break, but the actual crown snapped and caused rot and killed the plant. So that was just in like 35, 40 mile an hour winds. Now in habitat, they grow in a somewhat hilly terrain in the interior of these tropical areas. So coastal tropical area palms in general will be the most wind resistant, and subtropics, like for example Florida. So the palmettos I think are pretty self-explanatory. I've seen very few palmettos go down in hurricanes, and I have only been through Category 3 hurricanes, but this area just down the road in Punta Gorda has seen Category 4. Hurricane Charlie is a lesser known hurricane that came through the area just about 15 years ago to the day almost. And when I was driving back from Miami, where I went to go evacuate, I would see fishtail palms down. I would see just a bunch of other stuff that really doesn't do very. Bismarcks were really all broken up. They do okay for a while, but Bismarck leaves are very big and they hold a lot of wind. They do okay in Category 1, Category 2 hurricanes. So for the most part, they're okay in Florida, but those higher level winds, eventually those fronds are going to snap just by the physics of it. So palms that I've seen take no damage even in Category 3 hurricanes, stuff like Sadakentia, palmettos, hurricane palms, Dictyosperma. What else? Most other sables will do pretty well too, but a lot of New Caledonian palms, foxtails are pretty good in hurricanes. And just trying to find another little grouping of plants we could talk about here. I might have to cut into a neighborhood. Pygmy dates do pretty well. They do grow in the Mekong River Delta, where they are prone to a number of wind events. So let's go down this road here. More residential area, more plants. Also, two palms definitely worth mentioning as being extremely wind resistant, probably up there with Sadakentia or the whole genus really is Hyophorbe. So bottle palms, spindle palms, extremely wind resistant. They really do so well because of their flexibility in their leaves. They grow in an area that's not only cyclone prone, but it's just windy all the time. So here, we talk about, I didn't mention Queens, and Queens do okay. Category, around 90 to 100 miles an hour is where they start to really break off a lot of their fronds. They're native to central and southern Brazil for the most part. That area doesn't really get any cyclones, so they don't have that natural flexibility in their leaflets to general, crown-shafted palms are going to do better. They just have the ability to strip their leaflets with less damage to the actual crown than a non-crown shafted palm. So, and the one thing is, if you do have a, here's Livistonis here. They in general, they do okay. Some that tend to grow in areas that just don't see as many hurricanes tend to do not as well. Chinese fan palms, Livistona chinensis, does all right. But again, a lot of the daintier palms, smaller palms, are just not going to do as well. Dipsis do pretty well because they're from Madagascar, and they do see a lot of cyclones. But the large palmate palms, just the larger leafed palmate palms, entire leaves, just don't do very well. For example, Verschaffeltia splendida, the Seychelles stiltroot palm, those leaves are very, they're not, I'm going to say, they are tender, but they're also very thin. They're not very flexible. Well, they're flexible, but they just break off so easily. They will probably recover, but they're just going to look very, very bad for quite some time, even in a small wind event. So you can see, I don't know if you guys can see the Norfolk Island pines. They actually do pretty well. They strip all their branches off and they regrow them. Unfortunately, they're kind of an invasive here. So, as we kind of do, Butias, they do all right. They're not really native to hurricane-prone areas. Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, Brazil, not really where a lot of hurricanes hit, if at all. So, foxtail's native to northern Australia, so they have to go through cyclones quite a bit. There's been some of the strongest cyclones in the world have hit Australia. So, excuse me. So yeah, I wanted to kind of go through that because Hurricane Dorian is basically knocking on the door of Florida's east coast right now. It's about 100 miles off the coast of West Palm, and here you can see it's nice and sunny, really no wind. We're about 150 miles away from West Palm, so it's about 250 miles away from here, and it is quite a large storm, but it's larger more north to south than it is west to east. So I don't think we're going to get any significant rain. Hopefully I don't jinx myself there, or wind. We were originally going to get some tropical force winds, storm force winds, possible hurricane, Category 1 hurricane winds, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. It would be nice if you start seeing it turn north, because it's a little bit anxiety inducing to see this massive storm with 180, 185 mile an hour winds. It's now been downgraded to 165, but still that will basically strip most palms of all their leaves, and not only that, but it would cause catastrophic damage through here. If that were to come through, the West Coast doesn't have the same plantings that the East Coast does, and it's because here you just don't get as many strong hurricanes come through. Hurricane Irma was quite an anomaly in its path. It's very few hurricanes take that path, and you saw a lot of, we have a lot of live oaks over here, and the East Coast there's just not as many. And that's just due to the fact that we just don't get a lot of land-falling hurricanes here. So, Hurricane Charlie, Hurricane Irma, they're about 13 years apart. But, in general, so few storms hit here versus over on the East Coast. So anyway, I'm going to leave that with you guys there. Hope you enjoyed kind of this discussion on hurricanes. Why they because of where they hit, it kind of determines what kind of palms will grow in the area and what kind of damage certain palms can take, and what kind of damage wind will do to certain plants and palms, and which ones are pretty much immune to even some of the strongest winds. So I hope you enjoyed the vlog. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, you want to see more content like this, want to see more palm reviews, go ahead and subscribe and hit that the bell notification. I do go live quite a bit. And if you have any questions about the wind resistance of certain species, go ahead and leave it down below, and I will answer those as soon as I can. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.